Hello there guys, it's Joey, and this is the first of a few requested sets that will be videoed and uploaded to the store. This one is Reflections of the Dark Moon. So the request was for a protection set, a set which meant that nothing would stick. No negativity would get through, no negative spells would get through, and then it was kind of left to me to run with that. And the very first thing that really came to mind was the energy of mirrors, and that's the reflections part of this spell set, and we'll talk about the moon in a minute. But the idea of mirrors, meaning it was smoke and mirrors. The caster, the person needing protection, cannot be seen, viewed, targeted. The energy of the set makes them hidden, elusive, and unattainable to those that would seek to cause them harm and negativity. It's the creation of distraction and illusion. It redirects that nasty energy being sent, nasty spells, nasty entities, to create a misfire on their part. And by that I mean that it shifts and changes in order to create a misfire of their negative energy, their negative spell, so it just misfires, it doesn't land. And the real key to this set: deception from others warrants only deception in return. Ill intention has no effect. So the deception of other people comes up only against deception in order to misdirect their deceptive negative energies, their deceptive spell casting, their ill wishing, their evil eye, their specific targeted spell work. It's also taking that sort of spell work into the void and destroying it. And the idea of mirrors plays a twofold part here. Firstly, smoke and mirrors. The idea of smoke and mirrors is that images are created and it's not what is really there, it's a trick of the light, a trick of the eye, and it plays in our brain and creates misdirection, misfire. We're not seeing what's really there, we're seeing what we think is there but it's not, so it's an illusion, it's deceptive. And mirrors are often used in reflective magic to reflect, to return back to sender, and it has an element of that as well, of course. And also mirrors are used in folklore, in tradition, in spiritual belief as being portals to other realms. It's said, you know, that you shouldn't have mirrors facing one another in case you trap entities and things of that nature, that they can be doorways. And in that essence, we create a doorway to the void so that any negative energy, any negative spell work just goes through and gets destroyed. So anything that cannot be quickly reflected and deflected back to sender is absorbed and destroyed into the void energies. So why Dark Moon? And it's a little bit deceptive here in the title, which I kind of like because it kind of plays into the energy. We actually have the energies of moon phases, but Dark Moon is obviously the destroyer energy of the month. But full moon is amplification, and we want both of those things. We want the amplification magic to work in our favour, so that return to sender is like, yeah, it's not getting through here, but have fun with that. Consequence directly of the negative energy, the negative spell work goes straight on back by design. So we have both those energies, and we also have the fact that the moon can be considered a mirror. The moon is only viewable to us because it reflects sunlight, and it shifts and it changes, and this is all viewable, visible, but in technicality it's kind of a deception of the light. You know, it's the way that the light is playing and the way that the earth is. We know these things through science, but we see the moon phases very clearly in front of our own eyes. So I like that sort of correlation. Also, I think the moon is a reflection of us as witches. It's a reflection of the mystical energy. It's a reflection of our connection to cycles, to change, to shifting. And so it becomes a reflection of what is within us. And so we bring that energy into a protective sense. We create magic depending on the phase of the moon. And so depending on what we're doing, it might be a particular type of protection spell, or we may adjust the protection spell depending on the phase of the moon. There are people out there that say, you know, you can only cast certain types of protection magic depending on the moon phase, but that's not realistic, because we need to keep ourselves protected from negative energies and etc. at all moon phase points, and therefore I wanted to bring all moon phase points into Reflections of the Dark Moon. So it's not just about the dark moon at all, but the title again is a little bit misleading. It's a little bit of a misfire, which I kind of like because it fits into the energy of the spell. Crafting. So let's have a look at the individual items as requested. Each item was requested. There are going to be 2 pillars. Obviously one is still, metaphorically speaking, in the wash. It's just setting. But I wanted to get the video done. I wanted to get the products on show and look at these amazing votives. Right, I am actually going to be making these, all of the bits and pieces, available as regular items on the store for 2 reasons. One, I know Nadia was keen to have access to these on a repurchasable basis, but also I think the energy and design of these particular protection energies are important and key to a lot of people. You know, a lot of people could benefit from this energy, and I really wanted to make them available regularly. Plus, I freaking adore them, if I do say so myself. I'm going to be making myself some. So these are the votives. The top is designed to look a little bit like the moon and or mirrors. And man, I was so psyched with how well these came out. I was sat there and I was planning, and I was like, this is how I want them to look. Please look like this, and just experimenting a bit, and it just came out exactly how I wanted. So I was really pleased. The votives are just beautiful. Each one, of course, is going to be slightly different, individual, and I love that, because it kind of means that whilst the idea is the same, whilst the energy runs through is the same spell work, each candle is slightly different, a slight variant on each, which means the spell magic is just shifting slightly, like the moon phases. It's never exactly the same, and it means that the magic just tweaks over slightly. So you know, if someone's trying to cast against and they're getting a feel for what protectiveness you've got going, then the next candle has tweaked over slightly, is slightly different, and it avoids being the same all the time in order to shift that magic in order to keep protecting oneself. I like that a lot. So they're the votives. And then it was asked for a herbal blend or a powder, and I actually decided for this particular one powder was more in keeping, because for protection you really want barrier work. You know, incense of course works beautifully. I'm not set, because I create incenses for protection and things, but I'm in a barrier powder kick right now, so I think this is just how I felt about it. I hope you can see. Here you go. Barrier powder in order to create illusion, particularly in this form of protection, to misdirect, to misfire. It would be wonderful alongside other protective powders, other barrier powders. This one is very much about the misdirection, the creation of a mirror in order to reflect, deflect. I love it. Okie dokie. And then we have the oil. And the pillar. So, I love the top of this pillar. It's the moon! We like the moon. You can see, look, there's a tail. It's almost like a comet, right? This is not a scuff or anything. This is the product, the colorant, creating almost like a comet tail. Almost, I mean, it almost looks like a bird skull. That's very interesting. Maybe Babe is involved. You can see how the colour goes through and creates patterns within the wax. That's all colorant, that's, you know, within the wax. Creates almost like a cosmic night sky. Oh, so pretty. Beautiful. I like that a lot. And then of course the moon. So yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's just put those in for the, as we talk a little bit at the end. So I'm just going to move these out of the way. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Yep. So I'm going to be making these available regularly after the requested set has gone out. I'm really, really happy with how this came out. I think it's lovely, and I really hope Nadia's happy with it too. There are going to be a few more requested bits and pieces because I've had quite a few requests and I'm getting around to them all, getting them all sorted out. So yeah, and that's it for this video. Many blessings.